Hello, so today we're going to be doing a VOD review, and if you notice, the dog is back. So it's going to be a little bit awkward. I have to tweak it a little bit. Right now I have it so that it's not flickering too much, so I don't remember the exact settings that I had originally, but hopefully it's for those of you that don't know, on this channel I used to have a face cam, and then it was a very small channel, and I had maybe 5 subscribers. As soon as I put the dog in, lots of people loved it, and that's where I got my first big influx of subscribers on the channel. So this channel is with the foundation of my PNG cat dog VTuber model, right? It's a dog that I based off of a cat model, so it looks kind of like a weird little animal. So we're going to keep it in the corner, and it's finally back, and I'm just going to tweak it a little bit so it's not too flickery, but also not too static. So just look forward to that, just as a little thing to add some flavor to the videos, and lots of people that have been asking for it. It's finally back. Now let's go through the actual gameplay of this video. So I keep having these really interesting games off stream. A lot of them are really frustrating. I'm getting my head around the patch. I'm also experimenting a lot with different comps and different ideas that I had, so I'm just punting away my LP, but I'm gonna lock in and start grinding up just to make sure that I'm that high GM that you guys want to see from someone making guides like me, and just stop screwing around trying out different rerolls and stuff. But either way, this is a game where it was super interesting off stream. I played it, and it was kind of like a tempo line that I kind of talk about this a lot, streaking, and then how to play out of a win streak. This isn't going to be a game where I'm going to get a giga first. I'm not going to go first. There's probably a chance I'm going to get very dizzy at certain points, and it's going to be a little bit difficult. But this is actually going to be playing around one of the common Cypher lines, except without a primary Cypher cash out. So if you look here, let's just start with Augment selection. I say this a lot. If you see Heroic Grab Bag, Heroic Grab Bag is a great tempo augment that you can take in a lot of games. If you have a 3-cost tank, you can usually streak for most of the game if you just take Heroic Grab Bag, duplicate the unit up, and then slam some items. It is great. It is fundamentally just amazing, and it also gives you a lot of gold. So what you're doing is you're taking 2 duplicators, and you don't have to necessarily commit to a reroll, but you're taking 2 duplicators. You're duplicating some unit, either frontline or backline, but typically frontline, and then you also get gold. So you're going to have the gold that you can make with interest from gaining the gold from Heroic Grab Bag, and you also get the gold from winning all the rounds and just win streaking. So this is a very powerful early game option that I can use to basically just save a lot of HP and also be rich and give myself a good opportunity to play for a top 4. Because a lot of times, there's really RNG stuff. People hit Giga Exodia style boards. I like to have openers where I just have a lot of HP to work with, and then at worst I just end up with a 4th with some shitty board that I just get a top 4 with and get out. So looking at my board here, I have a Morgana. I know that my backline is going to be fine. The Morgana is going to scale over time, especially on stage 2. So we rolled the first couple augments. I don't see anything that I really want. All of these are kind of forcing towards reroll. This is me locking in, saying, hey, I don't want to troll this game and just try out Vigor reroll or some other shit. I'm just going to take this one. I have a GALIO on bench, right? GALIO, really strong tank. He's also similar to Poppy. He has an effect where he stuns backline units. So if you don't kill him early enough, he has an effect where within 3 hexes, see, Poppy's broken because Poppy's within 4 hexes, but GALIO has within 3 hexes, he'll kind of turn and stun the main carry. So he actually has a really good effect to take advantage of just positioning early game, and just abusing that, because a lot of people aren't super paying attention a lot of the time. So I'm looking at this, I say to myself, okay, I could take the 2 duplicators. What I do, instantly make a GALIO 2. I'm setting myself up to win streak for as many rounds as possible, and ideally just win streak much into stage 2 and deep into stage 3. I have Bastion activated, so I want to get some sort of HP on him. We just slam the Anima Visage, or the new version of Redemption, and we're just good to go. So that's the opener. And now we're going to see how the opener transitions into our late game and our mid game, and we'll kind of talk about it, our mid game and then our late game. But as you can see, this GALIO, he's an absolute nuisance, and he's an absolute menace. So we're just going to sit here with this GALIO 2. You can do this similarly with a Jarvan, you can do this with a Braum. A lot of these frontline 3-cost tanks, you just double duplicate, and then they're good to go. I have the Morgana in the back line. I can try and make some extra units here. I know that I'm streaking. I have a 2nd unit upgrade. Doesn't matter, they don't have synergies. I just want some backline damage dealers. Bang, we got 2 backline damage dealers. Good to go. We're ready to win out on this stage at least. So that's our goal here for now. When I'm thinking about my final endgame boards, there are a couple options. Whenever you're playing around Bastion, there's typically Bastion with Dynamo. Even if you're not rerolling Morgana, you can just play a similar line and cap around Aurora and what's her name? Aurora and the other one, Elise. Aurora and Elise. I'm sorry, I'm a bit out of it today. Aurora and Elise, that's a great line that you can play. Here I can show you a couple of the boards. I'll open up a team builder real fast, and this will kind of give you an indication of what I'm kind of thinking of long term here. So you'll notice I slammed a very generic item. I just slammed Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer is not a good early game item typically. The way Giant Slayer works is you get damage amp if you hit units that have a lot of HP, right? That's like its whole thing. It's a Giant Slayer. So early game, it doesn't get that much value because a lot of units don't have a lot of HP early game. They don't have items, they don't have synergies, etc. But I'm just making any damage item, anything that gives any bit of stats. But it is also very generic here because, you know, this GALIO, there's not many lines that like use GALIO and like win with GALIO 3, right? GALIO 3 isn't part of a lot of reroll comps, and a lot of times he's not super important. So it's great. So we'll see, like you know, he's great. He's great like for much of the game, but he's not like great into any like one particular line late game a lot of the times, unless you're playing like a Morgana reroll, and in that case I would just be staying low level, and I kind of defeat the purpose of using all this tempo and this HP and this gold. I want to try and cap out around 5 costs. Ideally, maybe I get like a Zac in. So if we're thinking about our board, it's gonna look something like this. Let's go to the board. So we have our GALIO. And I'm going to show you 1 or 2 different ideas that you can go with, right? So, of course, you can just go for Bastions the same way that you would play lots of other boards. 4 Bastion is a pretty good board that can fit in really nicely with a lot of different lines. But it's just not super strong, right? A lot of times you'll see something like this, which is like the I wanted to play Morgana reroll, but I didn't hit Morgana. Therefore, I'm just going to play Morgana reroll, except I'm just going to play with other units instead. So, you know, that's what this board's name is. I don't know what the proper name for it is, but it's usually like, you know, you just play around Dynamo, and then late game you can also go 6 Bastions, similarly to when you're playing Morgana reroll, like a high cap Morgana reroll board, except instead of playing around Morgana, you're using items to play around Elise and Aurora, and you play a similar line, and then you can use this GALIO if you want to keep him into your late game. Of course, you can always sell the GALIO at any point. Another line that's really niche, but it's actually really interesting, is Cypher with the GALIO. Now I'm playing Cypher from Winstreak, but let's just put in Cypher and I'll show you what I mean. So let's go here, let's just put in these units, and let's just take Cypher for example, right? Let's just say I activate Cypher with this and Zed, for example. If you read Cypher, so you get your cash out, right? After trading intel, you gain attack damage and ability power. And they actually just buffed these. They buffed the 4 and the 5, I believe. And then I think they buffed the 5 a little bit more over the last couple of patches. But you get a good chunk of AD and AP, which is really good if you're playing Zed carry. A really common board that you end up seeing is a board that looks like this. And then instead of playing deep into Slayer, so usually with Zed, you know, you're playing Divinicorp Slayer, you're playing all of that shit. Instead, what you can do is you can actually just play 2 Slayer, and then you could keep Cypher in, and you get the AD from Cypher for your Zed. It's not super optimal. A lot of times you only play this if you have a good Cypher cash out that kind of fits the board, but it is something you can play in a pinch scenario if you can't properly pivot into another board, or if you're trying to play around GALIO in particular. So in this case, what you usually do is you fit in the Exotech units. If your Exotech items are good, then you also play Zeri, and you're basically dual carrying between Zed and Zeri. There are other lines as well you can play. You can play like, you know, just getting rid of the GALIO, and then you can just play Divinicorp Zed, or Zed with Syndicate, for example. But this is a board that people should know just because it's a really good Cypher cash out board. I think it was on my How to Play Cypher guide. I don't remember because like I did that guide a really long time ago. If it wasn't, I'll make sure to do an updated guide. But this is a common cash out board that you just play towards, you know, having your Cypher units in, and then even if you really need to and you have like, you know, Vi 3 or something, you can keep in like 4 or even 5 Cypher, get those units a little bit higher. But typically when you get to level 9, you're just gonna swap in some sort of legendary that could transfer some sort of power level to other units. I'll talk more about this comp a little bit later because wink wink nudge nudge, this is actually going to be the one that I end up playing based on my items and just running out of like options. Ideally here, I'm looking at this Galio. I want to play the Dynamo version. I like the Dynamo Bastions. I think that it's not particularly a strong comp, but it's something that you can definitely play towards and have a certain amount of success with. So here, I look at my components. You know, I'm not getting any tiers. I'm not getting any rods. I got, you know, glove Bobo and a cloak. So, you know, it's not looking like a Dynamo game. There's already other people playing Dynamo. I'm trying to think if I can play around this Galio. I could eventually just sell the Galio, of course, and I could just play towards a different comp. But I want to try and use this early game tempo. This is always what's hard about win streaking. So as you can see, we're win streaking up until now, right? We're 5 streaking. We're extremely rich, right? We're 64 gold. We're super rich. We're super healthy. We're 100 streak. We're in a spot that looks very high roll. But a lot of times when you're in a spot like this, you can fizzle out really hard. So your brain always has to be thinking. You have to have a lot of plans and understand what you're doing. So here, I'm still planning generic items. I'm still not committing to any one comp in particular, but you have to like still be thinking about it. So already by now, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what are my AD lines? Can I play AD with Bastions? There's not really an AD Bastion line that I particularly enjoy. You know, I'm probably not going to be able to play Dynamo here unless I get dropped like Rod or something like that. Could I play around Zed? Could I play around Cypher? What do I want to do here? So, of course, I'm looking. I don't know if I'm going to be re-rolling, because if I'm re-rolling just for Galio, it's not particularly great. I'm just going to take item grab bag. I was hoping that with item grab bag, I would get either a tank item or a backline item. And I said to myself, if I get AD items, I'll play AD. If I get AP items, I'll play AP. If I get tank items, I'm fine. If I get generic item, I'm fine. So no matter what, I'm not going to miss with item grab bag. And it also spikes my board right now. Whenever you pick augments, people ask a lot like, hey, Fenrir, how do you pick augments? Pick stuff that makes sense with what you're doing, right? Right now, I am trying to win streak. Am I going to take Kingslayer? Of course not. That one's obvious because I have 100 HP. I'm going to get no value off Kingslayer. But what am I trying to do right now? I am trying to continue to win streak, right? I don't know if I'm going to win the game. I don't know if this is a high roll spot, right? Usually when it's a high roll spot and you know that you're going to win the game, that's usually when, like, you know, you're playing a board that you know is broken, right? Like, you know, this is high roll. I'm 100 streaking. I have a lot of gold. But it's not like high roll like I have an Urgot or a Zac on level 5 or 7 or something like that. It's not like an easy, like, oh yeah, this is just a winning board and I'm just going to play the winning board. It's like I'm win streaking with a Galio. And Galio, you know, if you think about all the strongest boards in the game, he's not really fitting into a lot of those. He's not like the Giga unit of Doom that fits into a lot of those lines, that there's a lot of flexibility here. So I'm going to eventually have to sell the Galio, which feels bad because, like, you know, usually when you do these difficult transitions, you might want to keep some of your units or have to like figure out something along the way. So when I pick my augment, or when I'm doing augment selection here, what I really need to think about is I'm trying to win streak and I'm trying to preserve HP. I might fizzle out and not be able to play a board that makes any sense. My board might be absolute dog shit by the end of the game. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I continue to win these rounds, have enough of an HP lead, because all your problems are solved if you can just make it to level 9 a lot of the time, right? It doesn't matter what your board is. If you can find an early Zac, you win the game. If you can find an early Garen, you might win the game. Depends on if it works out for you well. If you find early Aurora, early Urgot, like all the 5 costs that scale well into like late into the game, like either by giving you like cash outs or like making you immediately strong as well, all of those are just great. So if I can make it to like a high level and I can play around some 5 costs, I'll feel really confident that things are going to go well. If we look here already, I can already see somebody that has a really good win condition, right? This person's playing Fiddlesticks reroll. He has perfect Fiddlestick items. He has rolling augment, so he's going to have an easy time hitting. And he also has the artifact that's going to make him broken. Fiddlesticks with his artifact is extremely important. It just gives him so much damage. He is so powerful. As of right now, Galio is still going to tank, right? Galio is a menace. Stunning. Just staying there. As you can see, you'll probably notice I'm also scouting a lot during these fights. I'm trying to see who am I fighting next. Position my Galio. He only has a 3 hex range, right? Poppy has a 4 hex range. So as you can see, I'm positioning for in this corner, Poppy will hit and Galio will hit. That's the idea, right? Galio and Poppy are going to ream whoever's in this corner and it's going to scam me the victory even if I don't necessarily win. I'm scouting around. I'm seeing a lot of people win cons. There's, for example, there is a Golden Ox player. This guy, you know, if he hits everything, he might be a menace. He has early Aphelio, so he's already 4 Golden Ox, right? Scaling well into late. We don't know how it's going to work out. So what do we want? We want to make sure we scam these fights, right? Galio and this guy, try and ream the back line, right? Morgana, hopefully Morgana can clutch up. We slammed our anti-heal. We have some utility. Our items are pretty generic. We're winning all these fights, right? We have 4 Bastion in. We have a good line. So far, level 6. Lots of stuff. Now, like I said with the item, I grabbed the item grab bag. We're going to be playing AD, obviously, because we have Even Shroud. Even Shroud is an item that reduces the amount of armor that units have, right? It applies Sundering, so that's going to make my AD damage more apparent. Sorry, I think I misspoke. We're playing AD. I don't know if I said AP. I want to make it very clear. We're playing AD because we have the Even Shroud. End of discussion. We know that for sure. Here, if I'm playing like super tempo that I just don't give a fuck and I'm just playing for like top 4, I could just slam a TG. But we'll see. This guy also has a Cypher cash out, so this is another person we have to be scared of that could have a potential win condition. There's basically a lot of things going on here. A lot of moving parts in this game, so we're just going to try and continue to win streak. Here, I'm just putting in the Rost. Divinicorp units are always a good +1 to put in if you're trying to level up. Right? Just put in a unit, just give your whole team some stats. Try and make yourself a little bit stronger. But anyways, hopefully it's been enjoyable so far. As you can see, this is like a good strategy of just 100 streaking. Now, like I said, there are other people with win conditions, and I don't necessarily have a win condition. I'm playing purely tempo, right? My first Augment is just for tempo. My second Augment is also more or less just for tempo. So no matter what, I'm going to end up with some board that might not be the best board. Even if I like try and pivot into something that's really strong, you know, it ensues a lot of risk. So what we're trying to do here is we're just trying not to go bot 4. We're trying to have such a huge HP lead that when those other people hit their win conditions, they clean up the lobby for us. It doesn't matter how strong our final board is. We can be the weakest in the lobby, but if we have enough of an HP lead, well, maybe not the weakest, but you know what I mean? We can be like, you know, 5th weakest in the lobby, but if we have enough of HP lead, we'll end up at like even a 2nd place or a 3rd place or something like that. So here, I'm trying to put stuff in the team planner. I always like to exercise using the team planner, not because it's like newbie or anything like that, just because there's an augment called Think Fast. And I swear, like, if you see Think Fast and you just have to like do it instantly, right? Like you know what I mean? Like, it's such a good click. But if like basically the way it works, you have unlimited rerolls, so it's just an insane amount of gold if you just reroll really fast. So you always want to have something in the team planner, just so you have like, you know, if you run into a spot where Think Fast appears, you're like able to play the board, or you're able to like create the board from what you're playing. But anyways, we have this board, perfect synergy on level 8. So for those of you that are like really into that, it looks very aesthetic. So that's a plus if you've never played this board before. And I'm going to do something in a little bit. Like I said before, this is usually a Cypher cash out board. So it's not going to be a strong game winning board, but it's still okay. But the only problem is we don't have our Cypher cash out yet. So you'll notice at one of these rounds, I'm going to do a Cypher cash. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the nuances of stuff that changed with this board that actually makes it a lot better. Or at least a lot better right now, and how you can cap out a little bit higher with the board. But anyways, look at this beauty of a game. This is what I like to see, right? These are the games that I enjoy playing the most. Just start out, like, you know, not even high roll. You can't even look at my board and say this guy's playing a broken board. This is purely off strategy, right? You have a 3 cost, get the double dupes, play around it, go for it, right? There's not anything here that's like, you know, crazy, like once in a lifetime style of game. A lot of times it's just like, you know, something that happens pretty often, right? If you see that and you see the other thing, click both of them, you'll be in a good spot. So here, as you can notice, I'm going to be rolling a little bit. Now, I want to roll pretty aggressively here just to try and keep my streak. If I don't keep this streak, that's fine. But I also want to just activate Cypher. Not because I'm looking to get some crazy cash out. I just want to activate it so that I can take, like, you know, the cash out, whatever it is, on 4-3, right? The next round is going to be 4-3. And then if I take the cash out, my Zed and my Darius and my Galio are going to get AP and AD, which is going to make them a lot more effective. So that's what we're going for. I'm keeping in the Morgana right now. I should definitely swap her out for the Senna, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But the only reason I'm just keeping the Morgana, I technically found a bunch of Morganas, and I got dropped some rods. So I was thinking to myself, maybe I can still play around like Morgana, and I can just play like, what's it called? Like Morgana with like Divinicorp, and just like drop all the units all together. Because she's still going to pump out damage, right? I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this fight just off of this Morgana being a demon. right? 11 streak, right? Nothing special about this board, not even a good board, didn't even slam items. We're keeping our 11 streak off this GALIO just being a great unit, right? We love our GALIO here, right? GALIO MVP the whole game, you know what I mean? Here I take implants. I have a lot of items, right? Worked out well. So I'm going to start slamming my Z items here. Striker's Flail or the new Guard Breaker is exceptionally good on a lot of units. Just it's like an always slam now. It's like even more. Before I thought Guard Breaker was going to be not that flexible, and now it's like even better. And then you'll see I make Gwinsu's. I'm just kind of biding my time until I swap over. I'm kind of just going to sack one round, build up my econ. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. And then I'm probably going to send it to try and hit GALIO 3. Ideally, I hit also Senna 3, or I upgrade Senna, because Senna is going to be a huge point in carrying here. And then I can also just go for Z3 as well. I got the implant for size. GALIO is just going to be my main tank. You can put the HP on the Z, but usually you want to have like some cornerstone tank that allows your Z to kind of pop off without just getting like targeted from all your frontline being dead. So I want this GALIO to have a lot of HP just so we can kind of work through this. But as we can see here, I'm probably going to lose here because my backline's going to die. You know, the win streak has to come to an end at one point. But I just wanted to make 50 a couple rounds. If I won 1 or 2 more rounds, I probably would have just gone for, gone for like a quick fast 9. But here we're probably going to roll. We want to at least hit Senna 2. I found a Zac. Do I play the Zac? I should be playing the Zac. Yeah. We play Zac for sure. So it looks good. We should play Zac the entire game. And then I'm rolling for at least Senna 2. Sell this. Put on Senna. Yes. And then it's just a matter of if I roll for Zed here. But I think Senna 2 I should be stable again. Senna is exceptionally strong this patch. It's got a lot better. And part of it is the change to Gwinsu. Before, Gwinsu used to be a really bad item on Senna because she didn't have good enough starting attack speed to make use of the Gwinsu. Now, the new Gwinsu just constantly gives you extra attack speed. So she actually pumps out an absurd amount of damage. Like, she's actually insanely strong with like Gwinsu and some like damage items. So this Senna, a lot of times, she's like almost as good as like a 4-cost carry. She's not quite as good. Like, she's not going to pump out Aphelios numbers as a Senna 2. But a lot of times, she'll just rail the enemy, right? Give her some damage amp, give her some crit maybe, and she'll just pump damage like crazy. So I should be stable here. I'm considering going level 9. I already found a Zac, so I have the win condition. I could just roll deep for the Zac if I really need to. Here I just want to have a sword. I want to make full crit on the Zed so that he just pops off, because he does have a lot of base stats, right, from the Cypher cash out, as well as Slayer active. Normally, if you want to cap out this board a lot higher, like I said, you usually only play this with a Cypher cash out. I'm just trying to find myself an easy position to hopefully make it to level 9 off of having a huge HP lead and a huge gold lead this game. So I don't want to punt it all away, trying to pivot my board into like a full Divinicorp board and support the Zed that way. I feel like Divinicorp Zed is so contingent on hitting the, the other dude anyways, that it's kind of like a little bit awkward, like hitting Garen, so to speak. But either way, I'm rolling pretty aggressively here because, I could try and go level 9. I'm scouting around and I'm noticing that, I think my HP lead is going to get absolutely destroyed very soon if I don't win out from this point. So I rolled, I get Zac blobs, which is great because it scales me into late game, right? Zac could win me the game if he just upgrades himself. I have the Senna. I didn't find any Sennas on the roll down. Maybe I missed a couple. And now I have the Zed upgrade and I still have 30 gold. So I'll still be able to make it to level 9 at the start of stage 5. It's kind of like a debate, right? Like, looking at these boards, it's like I looked around and I said to myself, I don't think I'm really going to win any of these fights anyways. So, I don't know if I'm going to win late game either, in stage 5, stage 6. So it's like I might as well just roll a little bit here, get some upgrades. Maybe I hit GALIO 3 if I high roll it, because there's other people rerolling 3 costs, like this Fiddlesticks player. But we didn't hit, so it's like it is what it is. Holding on to a Zed. Something you can play with these boards a lot of the time is you can play duplicate Zeds, right? If you have 2 Zeds with full items, they can just both jump the back line. So especially if I'm looking for somebody to throw in here, I can just throw in a second Zed. when I make it to level 9. So it always makes sense to hold them. If you hit Z3, you hit Z3. But even if you don't hit Z3, even on Divinicorp boards, playing 2 Zeds is actually really strong because they're both equal. Like there's no difference between the two of them, right? If Zed's your main damage dealer and he's jumping and sniping the backline, you know, you get 2 of him, it's twice the damage to the backline. It actually works really well. It's a really good synergy if they both just like jump, teleport to the backline, delete the backline together, right? Really good in tandem with each other. So here, this guy just unfortunate didn't find a Samira. Tried to play towards the amp board, just not from that great of a spot, right? Rolling on level 8, but he has late game specialist, so he didn't make it to level 9. We win this fight. That's great for us. Winning a couple of these rounds sets up good to go level 9. I'm kind of angling myself more to a level 9 style board, just because I'd like to fit in some extra synergies ideally. Like the four Bastion, I have good front line, I just don't have enough damage. So I'm looking for like somebody that can help out with that a little bit, either double Zed, or what I thought at this point is I thought Zeri. So in the past you would play Zeri, and the Senna items I have are very attack speed focused, so they can actually work really well on Zeri. I'm going to tell you guys now, through the course of this game, I discovered this Senna is just way better than the Zeri. Usually the Zeri's fine, like if you have 4 Bastion and your frontline tanks long enough, the Senna kind of outscales and does like the Zeri outscales and does like a lot of damage within the fight. But here it's like it's not even close. Like we're gonna see later, I'm gonna swap items to Zeri at one point, like a Zeri 2, and she's gonna do like half the damage of the Senna. Like the Senna is just so good. She just pumps damage. Now, eventually she's going to fall off, right? She's not going to be strong for the entirety of the game, because if she was, she'd be, like, insanely broken, then everybody would just play Senna 2, and you wouldn't have to play any of the other units on the board. But it is something to note, right? A lot of it is just knowing stuff, right? Like, knowing that Senna 2 is really stable is really important, especially on the current patch. Because, you know, if you're playing Vanguard Marksman or any of those type of boards and you don't hit your units, right? These are items that can easily slot into a Senna. Just Senna 2, really cheap. Really good way to just, like, find some stability, at least until you can pivot your whole board. And then the GALIO win streak. As you can see, I still have, like, a 20 HP lead on the lobby, right? And that's all from my opener. This is why we're not worried about bot 4ing. You know, a lot of times, like, 2 people are dead, and I still have 20 HP to spare. And I'm still winning fights, by the way, right? The Zed is really good. Even in this setup, it's not the optimal setup, but it's a very non-risky setup. So it's like, you know, like if you're trying to look at this, having a really stable front line helps the Zed, because when the Zed jumps around, he de-aggros every single time. So when he de-aggros, what happens? They target your front line. So if you have a really strong front line and he de-aggros, you're good to go, right? The Zed's just not going to get targeted anymore. That's what's really important. So that's why these type of boards are a little bit more stable. They don't have as much DPS. Obviously, if you play like, you know, 7 Divinicorp, Renekton, Zed, and you play this, it's a lot higher of a cap. But that's just because you just pump out damage and the fight's over in a second. This is a board where you can chill for like many turns and be able to have the Zed live. You see my Galio's still not dead. My Zed was able to double dip. He was able to go to the back line, go to the front line, go to the back line, go to the front line, kill a bunch of units. I lost the fight because this is a capped amp board, of course, right? You know, arguably, I think there's some questionable things this player is doing because he's not playing the Zac on the board for some reason. He's playing an extra strategist, which is just an incorrect decision, but I digress. Here I leveled for Zeri. I know Zeri isn't like the giga damage dealer we were thinking about, but I do have Cybernetic. So Cybernetic allows me with the Exotech item to get some extra HP on this Sejuani, which is actually really good because she's a Bastion. So that's the whole reason behind playing the Zeri here. In my head, when I remember this board from previous patches, it was back when Zeri was more broken. So, you know, like Hollowbow Zeri, for example, like when you used to play this board, you would put these items on Zeri and then have like the Exotech item on the Zeri, and then you would just pop off, and the Zeri, while the Zed's like sniping the back line, Zeri's melting the front line, and then usually like you consolidate and you win the fight overall, right? Similar to how this fight's going, see? Like the Zed cleans up here, and then Zeri would have killed off this guy because she like the fight lasts long enough between like the units like constantly aggro toggling on the Zed and stuff like that. But for now, I'm still just playing the Senna 2. Ideally, like, you know, in a perfect world, if I felt like I had a convincing spot to win the game, I would have rolled more on level 8 to try and find GALIO 3 and then consider going 9. But in this spot, I just thought to myself, you know, I have the Zac already that can scale me potentially late game. So I might as well just go level 9, try and fit in my synergies, win as many rounds as possible. Because eventually I might just swap the GALIO items onto the Zac, right? If I hit Zac 2, I'll just put all 3 GALIO items on Zac and I'll just call it a day like that. But we're rolling every single turn, right? I'm paired on a lot of units, right? I'm paired on the Sejuani. If I hit a Z2, then screw the Cybernetic. You know, like, who cares about Cybernetic? I'll just swap him in here. But then I hit Zac, so, you know, I'll just keep the Zac. Items were horrible, by the way. Like, I know it looks like why'd you take that shit item? Look at my options. Like, what was I supposed to take? This guy took the Protector's Vow. I have no item. Like, I have to take an AP item. Now, the correct answer, actually, is that blue buff is okay on Zed. But the problem is I don't have, like, my items are still bad. So what I figured is that, like, you know, this guy does some AP. This dude does some AP. You know, Poppy does some AP. Zac does AP. So I just took the Void Staff. It makes your AP, like, it's does magic reduction, magic resist reduction. So it makes it so that you do more damage that way. But this is basically just my board for now. In my head, like, it's suboptimal now. Like, I know that the Zeri isn't particularly great. We'll see why. I'll show you a fight. I'll actually put these items on the Zeri, and you'll see that she does absolutely dick all. Like, she's absolutely unable to do anything. But here, I'll just put the Void Staff here, get some extra bulk value, and then it can also help out the Zac. Right now, my Zac is naked. You know, Shigers, he doesn't have items on him. My plan is that once I hit Zac 2, I'm just gonna transfer the GALIO items onto him. Like, that's my long-term goal. But I could get some bulk value on him. It's just that I think that he's so frail right now. He doesn't have that many bloblets, and he's also very how do I phrase it? He doesn't have bloblets, and he's also like 1 star, so he's not very tanky. So I'm just using him just to, like, be a nuisance. But as you can see, we're still winning fights, right? We're still winning fights. It's totally fine, right? Not a full Cypher cash out. Very ridiculous lobby, but we played with a heavy HP lead, right? When you have a huge HP lead, a lot of it is consolidating yourself into a good spot. If you have a huge HP lead and you say, nah, I'm going to play the Giga Cap board, and you take a lot of risk, then you can just throw an easy top 4. And that's what I'm showing here. I'm not going for, like, a crazy top 4. I'm going for an easy top 4. Like, I could easily have, like, you know, taken this win streak and say to myself, nah, I'm fast 9. I'm going to play Strat Amp, and I'm going to win with Strat Amp, because that's the strongest high cap board in the game, and I'm going to win for free. It's like, yes, I could do that. Or I could just do this and make sure that I go top 4, because I've done the other thing many times, and then you just troll yourself, and then you're like, how did I throw this spot? I had 100 HP for the entire game. How did I end up with 0 HP at the end? And it's like, well, you took your HP lead and you decided to plunder it instead of playing your HP lead, right? Like, right now, this whole game, what I've been doing is playing my HP lead. I'm playing a very safe, reliable board. I have a very stable front line. I have stable synergies. My augments are also stable. They make sense with each other. And I'm just saying, you know what? If somebody else hits some crazy shit and they win, so be it. I'm going to make sure I get a top 4, because I have enough HP to play a board like this where I can afford to lose 1 or 2 rounds playing a weaker board, but still be able to get a pretty reliable, pretty good placement. The other alternative is you can just risk it all and play for the first, because you have some wiggle room with your HP, but then if you miss, you just throw your game anyways and you just plundered everything that you worked for, right? One or the other. I'm more of a safe kind of player. So if you don't agree with my advice and you think that you should just, like, play for max cap here every single time, go do it. Go ahead. That's fine. All strategies are welcome. I'm just saying this is what I would do in this type of spot, and this is how it works out for me. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but same with the other strategies, right? There's pros and cons of everything. So here, I'm going to be rolling for Bloblets and the Zac 2. I have Sedge 2. I could also put the items on the Sejuani. I'm also rolling maybe for GALIO 3. GALIO 3 might help me out here. Zeri 2, so I'm not sure. This is the part where I'm unsure about if Senna 2 is better than Zeri 2 or vice versa. I finally hit IE, so I'm just going to instantly just put that IE on that Zed. We're good to go. Even I have this leftover QSS, which is kind of awkward, but it does give attack speed, so I'm down to just put it on a Zeri. Just ramp up a little bit. This player opposite to me, like this guy, it tilts me. Like, this board tilts me. Like, I'm not trying to insult this player in particular, but, like, what are they doing? Like, if you want, like, they're probably gonna outplace me anyways because they're playing a stronger board than me. But if you want advice on like what to do here, if you're playing strat amp and you have a Zac, you play the Zac on your board. It is better than playing an extra strategist. The extra strategist does not fucking matter at all. The Zac is your win con, because if you scale the Zac bloblets up to like 30 or 40, it doesn't matter what your board is, the Zac will win for free. It is so important, and you're holding it on bench. You should always play the Zac. Always, always, always. Especially, the only time you don't play Zac is if you don't hit him early enough. If you hit him really late, obviously he's going to do nothing because he has no bloblets. But this guy has had this Zac since like stage 4, and he's still not playing it. So it's fine. Like, it makes sense. Like, his cap is different because he's basically capping out around Garen, right? He's trying to go 10, and he's using the Garen mods to transfer strategists to other units, which makes sense as well because he has the Ziggs. But I guarantee you, you'll be way stronger if you get rid of, like, keep the Garen, just get rid of the Ziggs. The Ziggs unit is even bugged. He doesn't even work properly. If you don't know, he, like, if sometimes when he throws his ball at people, it fizzles out anyways. Like, it's just not worth it. Like, you see this guy right now, he lost to me. He's playing the strongest board in the game, Strategist Amp, and he lost to me. Because and I guarantee you it's because he's not playing the Zac. If he played the Zac earlier and he had 3 tank items on Zac and he rolled for Zac right now instead of going 10, he would have already won the game. I would have been dead by now. It's crazy. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's, you know, this is why I don't want to say anything. Like, I don't mean it in a mean way, but I'm just saying, like, this is what I mean by, like, I need to rank up, because it's like, this is not if I could point out people's mistakes, it means that, like, never mind. I don't want to be rude. But I'm just saying, it's like, don't make that mistake in your games, right? Like me, the only reason my Zac doesn't have items is because he's a Zac 1, and I don't have that many bloblets because I haven't been rolling that aggressively. I think he only has, like, he has less than 20 right now. But just always don't make that mistake if you're playing those boards. That's how you throw away LP. Now we have this guy. I don't think I beat this guy ever. He's one off of everything. So if he hits, he hits. But, like, this Fiddlesticks, just, it's like the antithesis of this board, right? Zed is about, like, with this type of version, I'm not playing into max damage Zed, like, you know, 6 Slayer, Divinacorp Zed. I'm playing the Zed with, like, a front line that's stalling. So, like, he just outstalls me, right? Like, I'll never beat him, right? This is what I mean by, like, I committed to a comp that's not super high cap. This is the example of it. I'm not going to outcap that ever, right? Just straight up. I'm just not going to outcap it. This guy has a Zac 2, so I'm probably not beating him either. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, like this guy had a Zac 2 that's scaled, so once again, it's looking like just a third, right? But if you look here, I'm still highest HP in the lobby. I've been highest HP in the lobby for the entire game. Oh, I think this is the turn that, next turn. I think next turn I'm going to try items on Zeri, and you're going to see how shit it is. Just for learning experience. But anyways, let's watch Zed. Yeah, I can't outcap, right? Too many 5-cost upgrades. I don't even have GALIO 3. We're going to lose that fight. That's fine. Here, we're just looking for some sort of item to put on somebody. I think this is where I throw the game, because I think I could have gotten a second this game if I didn't throw this next round. But I threw this round for science. So in my head, I'm looking at Senna damage, and I'm trying to compare it to Zeri damage, right? So I'm looking at Senna damage and Zeri damage. I'm saying Zeri's like almost half the damage with no items. So like maybe if I put items on Zeri, she'll be like really strong. So I took Striker's Flail here just to like try and put that on her, try and get her to get the damage amp from the crit. So I want to transfer like the Guinsoo onto the Zeri here. But the Senna really wants the Guinsoo nowadays, so I'm definitely nerfing the Senna damage. So I put items on Zeri, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm telling you now, it's not going to go well. I'm going to lose this fight, and I think that's going to solidify me not going second, when I think I might have been able to win this fight otherwise. Because remember last time I fought this guy, his board hasn't changed that much, right? He's still not playing the Zac. So like, we're fine. Right? Like, we won the last fight. But look at this Zeri. She's doing nothing. She's just doing nothing. And I probably would have won this fight if I didn't troll it. But like, look at this. Look at the Zeri damage. The Zeri has 3 items, and she barely did more damage than the gosh darn other dude. It's so miserable. It's so bad. It was so bad. Because if I beat this guy, I go second for sure. So now I'm just transferring the items back like an absolute doofus. This is what I should have done last turn, right? I should have had triple damage items on Senna, and I probably would have beat that guy's board. And then I would have gotten second. So that's like my throw at the end. You know, I feel like I played decently up until now. And now I'm fighting the matchup that I have no way of beating. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, GG, my bad, I guess. You know, all that good gameplay just to end up with a third because I was too dumb to, you know, because in the past the Zeri was better, right? It's only recently that Senna's good. Here I'm just selling the Galios and I'm rolling to see if I would have hit Zed, or sorry, would have hit Zach anyways. Now I think there's like a little bit of a debate here if I should have transferred items onto Zach. But I don't think it matters in this matchup, and I don't know if it would have mattered in the other matchup. I don't think I had that many bloblets. I forget if I checked or not. But roughly speaking, I wasn't rolling that much, so I don't think I had enough bloblets. But we just end up third here. It probably would have still been a third because, like, you know, maybe I don't even beat the Strat-Amp player. But this was in my opinion, this is like what I try and explain in a lot of the videos when I'm talking to you guys, right? When I'm saying like, hey, play tempo, convert it, get a third. Like, I think this is a prime example of just doing that, playing something that's a little bit off meta, a little bit off tempo, just making decisions that make sense throughout, and then just ending up at the end of the game and just like calling it a day, right? Just fries in the bag, get your top 3, right? I think I could have gotten a second here. If I rolled or used my gold a little bit better at the end of the game, right? I lost every fight on stage 6. That's how I ended up going third here, right? If I won even a single one of those rounds, maybe positioning diff, maybe I hit Renekton 2, if I hit the Zac 2, for sure I can win out. Like, if I had Zac 2, I might even win the game. But, you know, just like a couple things there that just didn't go well right at the end. Ended up with a third. So, anyways, I think people are asking like what to do with like game plans where they might not work out, or you're trying to salvage stuff. This is a little bit of that, and you know, hopefully it was a little bit enjoyable, or hopefully it was fun to watch. Also, hopefully the dog wasn't too jittery or jumpy throughout the video, but hopefully that was helpful. If you see something like that in your games, try it out, play around it, try and secure your top 4s and call it a day. GG. See ya. Bye bye.